Hey everyone, welcome to the On the Record podcast. Finally decided on a name now.
All right.
Figured we'd net that out, or not net that out. Figured that we'd land on that name. So here we are, and with my next guest, I have the one, the only Allison Marquez, aka my sister, because what else are you gonna do in quarantine aside from talk to your family members? Am I right?
You're right.
Yeah, I'm right. Um, yeah, like we talked about this already. Ultimately, this is just a podcast for friends and family. But for those that don't know you already, just give us a run through of who Allison Marquez is. Like, say if this were a spiel you were doing for a magazine that was interviewing you. Like,
Oh my God.
tell the people at home who Allison Marquez is.
I don't even know if I could put myself in that situation, but I'm just a young lass living life actively and passively. I love to sit and I love to lay. I also love to surf and eat and climb and watch anime. That's all there is to it
That's all there is to it.
in a nice little nutshell.
I will say you're looking extra toasty these days, largely
I
because of the surfing.
know. I know. I know. My whole color palette has changed. I've taken my yellows to a little bit more of like mustard vibe as it's gotten darker. But I'm embracing it now. Now that it's cool to be dark, I'm loving it.
I
Kind
was
of.
telling mom yesterday the way you've changed tones. It reminds me of like the two tones of bread that you get at Cheesecake Factory.
Oh my
Like you
God,
started out as a
I
white bread, and now you've transitioned to pumpernickel.
know. I bet it's not pumpernickel though. Is it?
I think it's pumpernickel.
Is it?
I think so.
Up until this point, I've pretty much just called it chocolate bread.
I mean,
I
I
always
call it
thought it
chocolate
was
bread
chocolate
also.
bread.
Wait, let me do a
But
quick
even
search
that,
right now.
I thought it was just wheat.
Cheesecake Factory dark bread.
I feel like I do know that. What was I gonna say?
Oh,
That's the only bread that isn't vegan.
Yeah. Oh, it's honey wheat brown.
Honey wheat brown.
Honey wheat brown bread.
All right.
Yeah.
I could see that. That's
Yeah.
why it is. It's so good.
Oh, that's why it's
even though
not
it looks
vegan
so
because it has
weedy.
honey in it. Because honey technically is not vegan.
Oh.
It's a bee product.
Yeah, that's the one rule that Tristan breaks. He can't call himself a vegan anymore.
Can't call himself a full dedicated vegan.
No, we like honey too much.
That's
But
fair. No one's keeping track.
okay. Yeah. There's sustainable ways to do it though.
I was gonna dive into like young Allison, like growing up in Germany and like how we got to Fresno and all that. But let's talk about this topic instead. Run me through veganism. Like, what was
Oh
that like
God.
in terms of transitioning to a vegan and then kind of being half vegan?
I
Like, take me
know.
through like your whole
I'm
story.
secondhand vegan.
Yeah, you're secondhand vegan. Dive into that.
Well, I've always loved meat. It's been my ride or die. She's been for me no matter what. Still crave her all the time. But my boyfriend Tristan became vegan like 6 months before we started dating. And he's been really understanding of it. He's never once like pushed me or made me feel bad for eating meat or supporting the products that I do, which is chill. But now that I cook for him like all the time, because I'm usually not cooking for myself anymore, I'm now conscious of the fact of like reading every single nutritional fact that I see and like what's in everything. And I eat meat usually if I'm by myself or I'm eating with like my family. But
It's like you eat meat when he can't see you.
kind of, not even. Most of the
Yeah,
time,
not
like
even.
we don't really eat at vegan or strictly vegan restaurants. Usually we just pick a place that has a vegan option. And I'll get something with like dairy or meat in it, and he'll get something vegan that it works for both of us. But it is a transition though. But even despite the fact that I still eat meat, I do feel better about knowing what I consume. You know, I try my very best to not eat foods that are like filled with preservatives, even though like a lot of people don't realize that veganism isn't necessarily like the know or take all for the healthiest diet in the world. There's so many ways that you can still be and have an incredibly unhealthy diet by still eating vegan.
Yeah.
The fact that he's conscious of it makes me conscious of it. So I don't know.
No, I was gonna
Self-literacy
say like
knowledge.
there are people I know that started becoming vegan or like they were vegan and then they just ballooned up.
Yeah,
And like
I
they're like,
feel like
how
that.
did that happen? It's like, oh, it's because his diet was mainly like bean burritos.
That,
And
and then there's rice, there's bread, there's
yeah.
pasta, there's Oreos, there's Takis. Like you can have pretty much
Yeah.
anything unhealthy veganized.
Yeah.
Even like vegan meats are still not that healthy,
Yeah,
you
because
know?
like they're pretty high in sodium in terms of like, what's
Yeah,
helping to
that,
preserve the
and they're
meat.
just like mega processed,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's on that same vein.
What are
But
things that surprised you that ended up being vegan? Like you ended up going through this like Takis and Oreos and stuff. But is there anything else that you didn't know was vegan until like Tristan pointed out?
Oreos is probably the biggest one. What else? So a lot of unhealthy cereals are vegan. So your cinnamon toast crunch, your Cap'n Crunch, I think Frosted Flakes, like those are all vegan.
Oh, really?
Like you have a ton of sugar, but they're vegan. I
In
get
that case,
surprised
I
all the
think I
time
was
though.
vegan for my entire first year of undergrad because all I did was eat cereal from the dining halls.
Oh, a lot of top ramens are not a lot, but the Orientals is vegan. Lime chili, that one's vegan as long as you don't get the one with shrimp.
Oh, but lime chili
The
shrimp's the
regular
best
one,
one.
I know, but the lime chili one, the regular one is good too. It's like the
True.
regular chili.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's definitely some good options of those as well. I'm probably going to think of some more of those the rest of the podcast because I do have a good amount of that information stashed in my brain, but it's hard to access it.
It's all good. If it like happens to pop up, I'll like run across the screen or something like
I
that.
know. I'm like Fritos.
Fritos. Okay, so like, do you have any like tips for anyone that's considering being vegan, or like things to know about before diving right in? Not saying that I am
like
like trying to go
I
vegan, but
know,
I'm just saying
just
like
in
in general,
general.
if anyone that we know happens to watch this and they're just curious about it,
Yeah,
this can be a go-to one-stop shop.
yeah. I feel like the easiest way to go about it, if you're like just thinking about dipping your toes in the water, would not be to like try and immediately start shopping for like new foods and whatsoever. I feel like the very basic first step would just to be to start reading the labels on what you eat. Because I feel like before you start making all these drastic changes of turning your refrigerator into a Save Mart grocery aisle or produce aisle, you gotta like realize that a lot of what you eat to begin with is usually already vegan. Not usually, but like 50% of the time.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can start trying to find the alternatives and whatnot. But like, there's so many great alternatives out there. You're not just going straight to greens and tofu. Like one of my favorite things out there is like soy rizo, and then there's all these different kinds of like jackfruit carne asada or like pulled pork. And like, especially with the times and as far as like food production kind of progresses, like there's only becoming more and more different
Yeah.
kinds of substitutable vegan foods that are like really dank and not as
Actually,
expensive anymore.
yeah. On the topic, since you moved from the Bay, now you're living in SD, is there any difference in terms of the accessibility of vegan options? Like, not, I know you don't really eat out all that often since it is a pandemic, but
Yeah.
just comparatively speaking, in like the month you've been, or 2 months now that you've been in SD versus like the 2 years that you were in the
Three
Bay.
months now,
3
almost.
months?
I know, we're getting close.
Oh, we're getting
Time.
close. Yeah, because you
I,
moved July.
I did. Very end of July, so it's creeping up on us.
Okay.
I would say
Is it like a big difference, or is it like
not
kind of
really.
equitable?
Kind of equitable, definitely still a lot more accessible in SF. But I mean, as far as here, they're catering to like a very large white community.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
will say, and there's like SDSU and UCSD, and I see white girls walking around all the time. A good chunk of them probably love like the vegan lifestyle. So I see a
Yeah.
lot of those places still, but it's mostly in like the bougie restaurants and like the more gentrified sorts of areas that have that stuff. Whereas in like SF, you can count like most regular restaurants to have like at least a few different options. Whereas here it's starting to come back a little bit slower, but I'm also new, haven't tried that many places. So we'll see if my mind changes. I don't think it will, but fingers crossed.
No, that makes
We'll
sense.
see.
Should we break it to
Yeah,
all the white girls in the SD area that the acai bowls they're eating may not be vegan?
no.
Just let them like live in delusion.
Yeah, just don't speak of them. Just let them
Okay.
live in
I'm
their
cool
own
with that. I'm
world.
totally on board
I
with
was gonna
that.
say, let's just keep that bubble there. Let's
Let's
keep
keep
it in
that bubble there.
contact.
Yeah.
I
We're not
know.
gonna pop that bubble. Who knows what
Let's keep it
happens when we pop
separate.
that bubble? What's gonna get out if we pop it?
I know.
Just gonna spray everywhere. Wash your
Yeah.
hands. Um, that's so gross. But yeah, so what do you miss the most about like not being in the Bay anymore? Like we've talked about it, in our own conversations, but
Yeah.
like I'd say in terms of who's listening to this podcast, I want to say like half of them are from the Bay, half of them are going to be from like the SoCal area. Like
Hmm.
you've lived both sides of the same coin in California. Give me your 2 cents.
As much as I love San Diego and the fact that I surf almost every day now, like, I miss San Francisco. And especially like the past couple weeks, now that I've like fully situated myself down here in SoCal, I have had some very teary moments about missing San Francisco and like the memories that I had there. Because living up, I mean, I can't, this obviously doesn't really apply to like the Bay in its entirety, but for San Francisco, like it's really like a wonderland. There's really no place like it. There's nowhere else, at least here in California, where like you go a couple blocks and the character is so different. And you feel like no matter like how many times you go to one place, you're always going to find like some new little niches about it that make it that much more special. And here, like I love San Diego. I love the coast. I love the warmer weather. It's a little heat wavy. I don't love that. But it's almost like Clovis a little bit. Aside from the coast, like lots of suburbs, lots of boring looking freeways,
Lots of
like
driving in general.
lots of driving in general.
Yeah.
It's like that isn't like the same sort of merry lifestyle that we used to have in San Francisco, just like hopping on the buses and just spending the day just kind of going with the flow, hopping on one bus, taking us to a different district.
Yeah.
It's not as free flowing. There's not, I mean, I know there's a lot I'm going to see here, so I don't want to nip out all that in the butt too soon quite yet, but I do miss it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever go back to San Francisco unless I really make it big.
Yeah, unless you like have the income to live there comfortably.
Yeah.
Not struggle bus like paying rent every month.
Exactly. But that, it might change. I could see myself really liking SoCal a lot more because I mean, ideally, I think I probably would like to settle down in San Diego. I thought that before I moved here, just because like as much as I do love the city life of San Francisco, I can't see myself being there forever, which is why most of what breaks my heart about leaving is more just like looking back on the memories and not like
It's like,
so
I'm not going to
much.
be young forever. I'm
Exactly.
aging. My body's giving out.
I know realistically, I'm gonna really like being able to like hop in my car and go make a run at Target and not worrying about how much I'm getting because I have to haul it all onto the bus.
Yeah.
It has its ups and downs. I like the idea of being able to have like a bigger sized yard and like have street parking. I can't tell you how many hours of my life I've lost trying to find parking right in front of my house in San Francisco. That I don't want anymore. So yeah, I feel like a lot of people would probably agree with me on that.
They probably would, yeah. When you
Most
told me you were
likely.
moving down to SD, of course I was really psyched because the most obvious thing is, oh, cool, my sister, she's going to be closer to me. That's going to be a lot more accessible than driving up or flying up, rather, to the Bay.
Yeah.
But the flip side of it obviously was, oh, that means I'm not going to really go to the Bay that much more frequently anymore. Because there's no reason to go up there. Like, there are a handful of people I know that are in the Bay, but I'm not, like, trying to proactively go. At least not right now, obviously.
Yeah, I know. I've like all my friends are like because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
The fact that everyone's just like, losing their jobs, people are just gonna have to go back home. Most of my friends are out of the city now.
Yeah.
I'm at that age where like I just graduated from college. A lot of my friends just graduated. So unless they really made it big and landed with a company up there, they can't really be there anymore.
Yeah. Was there any chance of you going back home to Fresno?
No.
Like, what would happen for you
There
to go
was a
back to
small
Fresno?
chance. There was a very small chance. And the instance that did make me even consider it was when I told you that our cousin Ping was possibly going to rent a property from her aunt that was just in a really nice location and had
Oh
like a
yeah, you did tell me
pool and
that.
like a second living room, bar and stuff. And what, I'd be paying like $500 for a massive room,
Yeah,
maybe a
like
bathroom.
Fresno's Rodeo Drive.
Exactly. So that
That's
was the
really
only thing that made
nice.
me contemplate it. And then the other side of that, or the other reason for me going was because, like, I've had in my mind that once I left Fresno, I was never going back. And as great as that sounds to me, and ideal as that sounds, I have to think about the fact that like I'm pretty much leaving all of that close time I had with my family like in the past. And now I've gotten into this cycle of I'm not going to see my grandparents until Christmas or
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. And I'm only going to see like my parents like 4 times out of the year. And like, that's it. Whereas if I was to stay at home for like maybe a year, I can do my best to catch up with everyone as much as I can before I permanently leave, and that's it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But obviously I chose that.
Yeah, Fresno.
Yeah, y'all be fine. If you need me, I'm here. But I'm not going there.
We got FaceTime. We got
I know.
Zoom.
If that doesn't tell you how much I don't want to go to Fresno, I don't know what will.
Give me like your 60-second elevator speech about Fresno.
Lack of diversity, lack of things to do. It's like it's progressing in terms of getting more like condominiums and Targets, but that's as far as it's ever gonna go. And if you ask me, it's only like digressing.
Yeah.
I kind of believe so as well. I mean, like, I hate using Facebook mostly for this reason, but I'm still friends with a lot of people that I had known from like high school or just like childhood friends or like coworkers or friends' parents that I'm friends with, and things don't change. I'm not saying that's bad all the time, but mentalities are still the same. Worldviews, perspective on like people,
Grammar's
and the
still the
economy and
same.
the
It
government.
hasn't improved at all
Exactly.
since high school.
Yeah, and then I feel like that mentality and the people kind of shows itself in the city.
Yeah.
Or in Clovis, and I just don't want to like succumb to that. If I'm gonna keep pursuing this life of like personal growth and like learning more, like you can't be somewhere that doesn't want to learn more.
Yeah.
So,
shout out to all our family that still lives there.
hi everyone.
Hi everyone.
It's time you guys found out.
Yeah. It's about time. We're slowly pulling everyone away from Fresno. We're trying to make them all
That's the
relocate.
goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
We got what? 3 other relatives, 4 if you count Dano, who's technically Christian's relative.
No, he's our relative.
The relative.
Just lump sum him in.
5 if you count out the Ariel. So we're pulling him away from Fresno, slowly but surely.
I know. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
I had to count them in my head. I'm like, who are we talking about here?
It's so hard selling Fresno. Like, people ask me about Fresno, and the only thing that I can say is that it's enjoyable if you know people there. Otherwise, it's close to national parks. Like,
that's my biggest kicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the fact that I can say that I used to ditch school just so I could go to Yosemite for the day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm learning more out there than I am in your freaking Clovis Unified, dude.
Yeah, you, Clovis East Ag Program.
Oh my god.
Got nothing on Yosemite.
Yeah, so.
I'm still wilding out about all the things you did in school, like that I heard retroactively.
Mm-hmm.
Like you running a side hustle, writing doctor's notes.
And the fact that started when I was like 12.
Yeah.
12, 13. Yeah, I guess the backstory.
Like for a little kid, like, yeah, that's
like,
ballsy, but that's also dope.
I know, because like once I realized that my doctor could email me my permission slip to not do PE or go to gymnastics practice, and I had that document forever, and I knew enough about Photoshop where I could just change the date of that or change the signature or change the name. I was like, you know what? I can do something with this.
Got a money maker here.
Hustling out of the womb. What can you say?
Actually, that brings up something interesting. Tell me about gymnastics. Like, I don't know if you want to do gymnastics in the first place or if it's something that mom signed you up for when you were a little kid, but you did it for a long expanse of time, and you ended up being a gymnastics coach.
Yeah, I actually begged mom
You
and
begged
dad to let
mom?
me do it. I begged
Oh,
them
okay.
because Michaela Alamon did it.
Oh, is that why?
That was the only reason why.
I didn't even know she
Yeah,
did
this was like my
gymnastics.
kindergarten best friend, and it was funny because like she was my best friend and her brother was the same age as my brother and they were best friends,
Yeah.
so it just worked. I don't know if I was like
And look where they are now.
yeah, I know.
Yeah. I
I
still talk
mean,
to Chemo every now and then.
yeah.
Yeah. He's doing
Does
his
he have a
I don't think he
does he
has
have
a
a kid?
kid yet. But
Cool.
he's I think starting up his guitar business again.
Nice, good for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I begged Mom to do it so I could spend time with her. And then ironically, the day that I joined, I made it into the same exact class as her. Like I made it into the same beginning class. And during that lesson, I look over and this girl like falls and she like splits the beam, cries on the mat, and then never comes back to practice. I think she just decided it wasn't worth it. And I was like, well, dude, I just begged my mom for months to put me in this class and you're
Oh, that's
gone.
rough. To split the beam as like a 5-year-old kid.
Yeah, I know. And it's not like the beam was very high or anything. It was probably like a foot and a
Oh, it was
half.
like the little beam? Like
It was the little beam or like a little bit above that, where there's like this much space between you and the mat. But
yeah.
it's enough to make a little 5-year-old cry. And I was a little pissed about it. But I realized after that, I was like, never mind, I kick ass in this. I can stay in this for a bit. And so I did. And then I did that for I don't even know how many years, maybe like 7 years or whatever. And then it started to take a toll on my body. And I just didn't really care for it as much as I used to before. I realized that the Olympics wasn't a realistic goal. I
Yeah.
realized that
Thanks, Sean Johnson.
I realized that the feeble age of 11, Sebastian, keep up. And so I just kind of gave up on that, chilled for a while, and then once like 15 rolled around, I had a friend that I reconnected with through like high school gymnastics because that was an easy thing to get into. She's like, you should work here. Like, it's fun, you get to make some money. And I'm like 15 years old. I'm like, oh, I can make some money, So I joined
I got my forgery business and gymnastics. Rolling in bank.
So I started doing that. And I did that for 5, 6 years, I think. I coached for a long time, mostly recreationally, but like competitively every now and then. And it was a good time. And now I might go back to it. I'm not sure though, but purely as a side hustle, just so I can have some sort of like kind of side revenue coming in because I'm looking at like actual career jobs and that's just like frightening. I hope future me watches this and laughs as I'm rolling around in money.
Yeah.
That's the hope. Because right now it sucks.
You're just speaking into existence right now.
I know.
That's the end goal of this, just speaking everything into existence.
The universe is hearing me.
I think it's funny though how like after you switched high schools and you went to Clovis East your senior year, you ended up becoming like the gymnastics team captain after just like joining in for that last year.
Well, everyone knows that the captain has nothing to do with talent. It's all about charisma.
Hey.
That and
you know what works. You know what runs the world.
I was the only senior on the team, so that was probably what was it.
Were you not the best one on the team?
Not really, because I mean, like, there are a couple girls there that stayed in gymnastics longer than I did,
Okay. Yeah.
I kind of dropped out when things like started to get interesting and I was like finally starting to like build my own routine.
Yeah.
And I was like, never mind, this you guys, this coach, and I dipped. And little did I know that coach ended up being my boss a couple years after, but
it worked out.
It all worked out. Yeah, and that was a good time. Not like I'm trying to ruffle my own feathers, but I feel like high school's already a blur at this point to me. It feels like it's so much longer. It was so much longer ago than it really was. I don't know if you felt that way when you were also 23, but I think that now.
No, it was definitely a blur. And honestly, it should be a blur. Like, we really shouldn't be hanging on to high school memories.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I've noticed in terms of going back on timelines, going back to Facebook, or people hang on to those things as indicative of not venturing outside of your bubble and having more substantial life experiences, if you could put it that way. So yeah, it totally feels like a blur, and rightfully so. It should be a blur.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
We're on
you're
the
not the only
same
one.
wavelength here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like every time I want to bring up a memory, I'm like, I don't really remember that. And as I start trying to conjure up memories of that time, I realize, oh, let's reverse this. Let's back out. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And then go back to suppressing it.
Yeah. Gotta lock this up.
I know, keep it in a tight box and there.
Why'd I unearth this key to begin with? Just chucks it.
Exactly. Yeah, but I guess let's put this then. I'll ask you some questions.
Yeah, let's flip the script. I think we're at that point of the podcast where we flip the script anyways.
Alrighty, so we had a lot of trips planned for this year.
Yeah, we did.
Regrettably. Where would you like to go?
Where I like to go?
Once this ban gets lifted, aside from Japan and Switzerland, all the ones that we were going to do anyways.
Well, for people that weren't already aware, Alice and I were slated to go to Japan again for 2020. We went together in 2019 because that was my Christmas gift tour, and we loved it so much that we wanted to go back. And it ended up being a great time to go because that was when Tristan got his graduation gift. There's also Allison's spring break, and I can take off time whenever I want to. And so, in terms of pre-planning, the cards all lined up. But obviously, that fell through. And then our other plan was also for June of this year to go to Europe because Alice and I, we were born in Europe. We were born in Germany specifically, and we haven't been back to Europe since then. And Allison's graduation gift was supposed to be this Europe trip, but thanks to COVID, again, that one fell through. So in terms of where I'd like to go, fuck COVID. Wash your hands, everyone.
I know.
So in terms of where I'd like to go, if not Europe, if not Japan, I mean New Zealand, quite frankly.
Yeah, that's always been the list.
Mom was telling me this last night because I was talking with her. The first place that she wants to go to when she retires is New Zealand.
It's probably because that prime minister.
No, exactly. We're talking about the prime minister and how she's a boss.
She's fine as hell.
Yeah, she's fine as hell.
And
no, she actually said oh, you know what? I want to maybe 2022. Yeah. So who knows? Okay. We maybe go to New Zealand 2022.
Hopefully. We'll see.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I really want to go there. I mean, ever since I was supposed to go abroad to Australia, I knew that was somewhere I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And I have not lost faith in that. It'll happen. Yeah. Hopefully. My next hope is that I'm hoping that we can see the Great Barrier Reef before it's all completely gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Look at that one really great dull coral.
Oh, wait.
How lovely is
that's a
that?
rock. Never mind. That's just a rock.
All right, buddy. Let's get back on the boat.
Yep.
Let's get back.
Actually, that's another thing. I told myself that I would get scuba certified this year, but no real opportunity to do that right now.
Honestly, I feel like that's something that you'd still be able to do. You know?
Maybe, yeah.
If you were to get your own equipment, something that you wouldn't be renting, which if you were to get scuba certified, you did your own equipment anyways.
Yeah, I would need to get my own equipment.
That's probably something you can do.
Yeah. But then it's also
I don't know what goes into it. But
it's dropping a lot of money. From the anime that I saw, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, I know. But money comes and goes, dude. You know that.
Yeah, it's true. So I've thought about getting scuba certified, which would be very convenient when we do go to Australia or New Zealand.
I would love to. Ever since the Philippines, honestly. We only snorkeled, but I mean, still just being out there in really deep water and being
no, Mexico. We did snuba.
Dude, yeah, that was funny. Honestly, that was fun. I think it's so funny just explaining the concept to people of what snuba diving is.
Yeah. Wait, don't you mean scuba? No, snuba.
No, snuba. Snuba. They're like, all right. Anyways, but being able to breathe in that mask was so complicated.
Yeah.
I don't know how mouth breathers do this.
Yeah.
As we're 40 feet in the water. Breather. I know.
Uh, yeah, and for people that haven't done scuba or scuba, in order to like clear your mask, you do this thing where you press up on the roof of your goggles and you like blow out with your nose.
Hmm.
But I think my goggles were just malfunctioning because it was always filling up with water. So the entire time I was like, and like the person was asking like, "Are you okay?" Like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I can't see."
Fine, I'm just drowning.
Yeah, I'm just drowning, just drowning.
Slowly.
Slowly but surely. Um,
Yeah, if you get scuba
yeah,
certified, I'd be inspired to do it.
yeah,
I'd love to do that at some point in my life. Why not?
yeah. Part of the reason why I want to get scuba certified also is because Joseph got scuba certified. So
Yeah,
I have a buddy to go with them.
by himself.
No, he did it with you know, with her.
Oh. As soon as you said that, I was like, "Oh man, my bad."
Yeah, it's like, oh, do I
Sorry,
want to bring
Joseph,
her
you did
name
this.
up? Nah,
No, it's
we'll leave
okay.
it. She who will not be named on this podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
still love you, though, girl. I'm on
Yeah.
your side.
Hope all is well. Hope all is well.
I'm not on your side. There are no sides.
There
I
are no
still like
sides.
you.
So yeah, I guess bringing it back, Australia, New Zealand. That's where I'd want to travel next.
Nice.
Yeah.
We should pencil it in.
I mean, I hope Mom
Before
penciled it in.
Yeah, before I go into some crippling debt. I won't.
That's okay. That's a good question. Any others?
Any others?
Because if not, I got a question for you.
Okay, ask me yours first.
Okay, so tell me about anime. How and why did you get into anime? Because when you told me you started watching, it kind of threw me off guard.
I know.
Like, oh, that's really cool. We'll see how far this goes.
I'm trying to remember why. I think it was initially when I started dating Tristan, but Tristan wasn't watching it at the time. Like he had watched it like before, like starting in like his childhood, and he just like didn't watch it as much. And then once we started talking, I feel like I also had a couple friends at the time that were watching anime. So I brought it up in conversation to him, and then like, he suggested some ones that I would like, and then we started watching one together. And then it's, the story just kept unfolding after that. I've got a good amount under my belt, and now it's probably like 70% of what I watch. And I watch a lot of TV, I will say. So that's saying something.
Do you remember what was the first one you watched?
Mm.
I don't know this. I'm genuinely curious about what got you hooked.
The first one that Tristan and I watched together was Assassination Classroom.
Oh, really?
That was the first one we watched together. And then it was My Hero.
Okay.
We watched My Hero, that Mummy one.
The Mummy one?
The Mummy one might have been what got me into it.
The Mummy one's really cute. Yeah, it's good.
I know, that one's a good one. I started watching, this was a little later on, but One Piece was one that I got myself into.
How far did you end up
pretty early
getting?
on. I want to say like the 800th episode.
That's
something around there. I know, thank you.
Yeah.
I watched like the first 600 or so in one go, I think. It took me like a couple months, but like I watched it every day. I put the time in, and I recommend it to anyone. I'm like, I haven't really seen that much of Naruto. I feel like when I started watching anime, I decided which one of the two like mega animes I was going to invest my soul into. And I decided One Piece was more worth it, and I kind of still stick by it.
Yeah, well, also One Piece is still going on, so.
Yeah. Which to some people, that's not that's not a good reason to watch it.
Yeah.
At least in my case, I like animes that are done, so I can like leave it to begin with. I don't have to like keep thinking about it late at night when I can't sleep.
Yeah. Like for me, that's the most appealing thing about animes. It's in most cases a complete story where the funding usually is just like that slate of 12 episodes. If it's really popular, it gets extended for like another 12 for the second season. And like the longest it'll typically goes like maybe they'll have like a third season and they'll call it quits there.
Yeah, no.
Aside from like these long running shonen series like My Hero, One Piece, Naruto, which now has Boruto, which is the continuation of that story, among a few other of those popular shonen animes.
Yeah, and I feel like I like that about animes. Like they don't try to like drag it on for like a million seasons for the most part.
For the most part.
They know how to keep it short and sweet. They get to the point for the most part.
For the most part.
Except those fillers. But, you know.
What's the worst anime you've seen? Since we're talking about like, oh, for the most part.
I feel like that's hard to say because there's so many animes that have started like first episode of and just like not really liked it. Oh, I'm about to get a lot of people pissed right now. So I'm going to say it, and you know what I'm going to say.
Let's go for it.
I really don't vibe with Attack on Titan.
It's totally fair. I don't fault you on that at all.
It's just... But, I mean, it's not that it's a bad show. I could completely understand like why it's a good show, and everyone says the story is so good and the way that it developed, but I cannot have sadness.
Yeah.
For most of a TV show.
It just...
That's like...
It's not just sadness. It starts with sadness, and then it compounds from there.
Exactly.
Exponentially.
People are like, oh no, it'll get better like halfway through the second season or something like that. I'm like, I don't have the time.
Or I don't have the emotional stamina to last that long.
Or the emotional stability to put myself through that.
Yeah.
So I threw the towel in on that one pretty hard. Anytime anyone ever suggests watching it, I'm like, no. Don't ask it. Remember this moment. Leave it here.
Yeah. No, that's completely fair. As someone that has read through the manga and is almost at the end, yeah, like your soul's gonna get sucked. It is a great story for the most part. I'm not a fan of like how they extended the world, I'll put it that way. Like how they explained how the Titans got there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has cool characters.
Yeah, I thought the concept was cool.
Yeah. Illustration wise, like with the anime, I think it's beautifully done. But yeah, you can only take so much.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
And another one that like, I'll give it a soft tap just because I wasn't as attentive to the show, I guess I should have been. But I started Violet Evergarden a while ago, back when it was like one of like the top animes on Netflix. And I fell out of that one after like the 7th season or whatever too. Just
you
because.
Mean the 7th episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7th episode.
Yeah.
Just because that one wasn't clicking with me as much as I was hoping it would either. Because I know it's supposed to be like one of the most like beautifully done animes out there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's beautifully done.
A lot.
But it's also very dialogue driven.
Yeah, so that's probably it. Like, I like animes that really have that good kick of comedy in it, you know?
Yeah.
I need something like
that.
Agretsuko? Yeah, that's a good one. I don't think I like that one as much as you do. But I really liked Ouran High School Host Club.
Yeah, Ouran.
I really liked that one.
Yeah, I'm glad I finally watched it.
I'm glad you recommended it because
you blasted through in like what, under 48 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. It just made me happy. It was a good show.
Yeah, lots of happy vibes with that one.
Lots of it. It was quality stuff. Look at this light that I'm getting.
Yeah, that's such an interesting glare. I've never seen that happen to a laptop.
Yeah, I don't know how to just. There we go. A little better.
Yeah.
A little better.
Well, I think we covered a lot of bases here. You know, talked about veganism. Surprisingly, I wasn't planning on that. Touched upon gymnastics. Talked about anime. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to touch upon before we leave for today? Anything you want to ask of me before we let the people get on with their lives?
Come down to San Diego and surf with me.
In due time. Wait, do I need to buy my own wetsuit?
I mean, I'd recommend it.
How much are they? Are they like
it
150?
It depends on the kind of suit you want to get. I feel like just for versatility purposes, you should probably get one that's like not as thick as a winter suit, but it's not just like the short sleeve, like the ones with like shorts, you know? Just so you can
I would get a full suit.
But usually, if you're looking for like a pretty good one, you're looking around like 130.
Oh, that's not too bad.
It's really not, but there are like obviously expensive ones out there.
Yeah.
But for all you need, that's fine. Yeah. And I would say you could always like use one that like someone's not using, but I mean it's like a pea sack.
Yeah.
It's everyone's personal pea sack.
It's a pea sack.
It's like I personally wouldn't want to borrow someone else's.
Yeah. But yeah, in due time, they'll Take one of the boards, one of the short boards, so it can fall.
Just say go for it.
Yeah. It.
Yeah, and if anyone else wants to surf in San Diego, I do it every day. I still suck, but maybe by the time you hit me up, I won't.
You should just start a side hustle while you're SD, like teaching people how to surf.
But teaching people how to surf poorly.
Yeah. Like you don't specify the quality of ability they'll gain after the 6-week course, but learn to surf somewhat.
I know.
Learn to surf? Question mark.
I know. I was like, all right, I see it. I see the lip of the wave. The wave's coming. All right, everyone, run, run away.
Yeah, run in the water. She's a great instructor.
That literally is me, though. I don't run, but there have been many times where like a wave has come big enough up to my face to where I've just froze.
You just dive under it with the board.
But my board has like a lot of volume, you know? So I found that a lot of times where I like find myself trying to push it down, when enough force comes up from like the whitewater or something, it just flings back up in my face. Hence my many pictures of busted lips.
I'm just gonna like put them here on the screen right now so people can.
Maybe I'll show up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you for being one of my first guests on this podcast. You know,
Anytime.
hopefully I can have you back and we'll talk about more things. You know, we didn't talk about Sebastian at all, surprisingly. So
oh, we're gonna need a whole series for that.
Yeah, we're gonna need a whole series for that. So
to unpackage that whole thing.
But dope. Yeah. So like, thanks again for hopping on. Hope you have a good rest of your day. And I'll probably text you or something after this.
You too. Thanks for having me. Let's play Among Us.
Let's play Among Us. Okay. Take it easy.
Alrighty. You too.